I don't think there's anybody that feels that I've betrayed my faith or my community by becoming an Imam to the armed forces. There's no doubt that there's a lot of people that still need to be educated about what my role is within the armed forces, and my role is not about furthering war, furthering conflict. Actually, it's about resolving conflict. It's about supporting people. It's about providing spiritual and pastoral support to the men and women that serve within the armed forces, and it's also about educating the commanders about Islam and the importance of faith.
So a Muslim soldier or airman or seaman comes to you before, say, deployment to a country like Afghanistan or Iraq, and they're worried about maybe killing fellow Muslims. What would you say to them to sort of allay those concerns?
I've never had anybody sort of come to me and say, I'm going to Afghanistan. I'm worried about killing a Muslim, because the issue is not about taking a life of someone of a particular faith. I think the issue is about taking a life, full stop.
But certainly, from comments that I've heard over the years, what would you say to those Muslims who did view operations in Iraq and Afghanistan as a war against Muslims?
There is no doubt a misunderstanding out there that amongst the Muslim community that this is somehow a war against Islam, but the military is out there trying to support Afghanistan and to support the Afghan people, and they're not there fighting necessarily a religion or a culture.
Coming back to Britain, we had the tragic murder of Fusilier Lee Rigby, and during the trial, certainly we heard that he was viewed as a legitimate target, as a serving British soldier. I mean, how would you challenge that kind of extremist narrative that we heard during the trial from one of the killers? Mm-hmm. What would you say to that?
These individuals are misled. They're not educated. They haven't necessarily studied the Quran. They haven't studied Islamic theology at all whatsoever, and have no appreciation of what the faith is about, and to consider an unarmed individual in the time of peace to be a legitimate target for murder is absolutely unacceptable, and there is nothing within Islam that would justify that kind of behavior.